death can save you from me.
In today's video, we will be covering some of the more advanced mechanics in Diablo 2 Resurrected. And like most mechanics in Diablo 2, they are somewhat archaic and don't really have any in-game explanation. The mechanics we will be covering are Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, Open Wounds, Ignore Target Defense, Prevent Monster Heal, Slain Monsters Rest in Peace, and Magic Find, in that order. Up first we have Crushing Blow, and the basic effect of Crushing Blow is to reduce the target enemy's health by a percentage of its remaining health. So the effect will do greater damage the more health the monster has, and gradually do less damage as the enemy is closer to death. And this effect is half as strong on ranged characters as it is on melee characters, and the damage also varies depending on the enemy type, which was displayed in the table previously. And now let's take a look at what Crushing Blow looks like. Also note that Crushing Blow has no effect on spells, but it will work with melee and ranged skills and abilities. Next we have Deadly Strike, and Deadly Strike is not to be confused with Critical Strike that you gain from Amazon and Barbarian passive abilities. They do have the same effect, however, which will double your physical damage when it procs. And these two passive abilities do not stack directly, but if you have 50% Critical Strike and 50% Deadly Strike, if you fail to roll a proc on the first 50% chance, then it will roll again on the second 50% chance. And they cannot both proc at the same time, so you cannot 4x your damage. You will only get double damage regardless, and there is no point having more than 100%. Deadly Strike and Critical Strike also do not work with spells. They work with most melee and ranged skills and abilities, but if you look there at this list, there are a few that it does not. And on abilities that convert damage to elemental or magic damage, the proc happens first, and so you can still double your converted damage. And let's take a look at what it looks like. It's the yellow flash on hit. And next we have Open Wounds. Open Wounds is basically a dot or damage over time bleed effect that you can inflict with your melee or ranged attacks. And once again, it is half as effective from ranged sources. It does not work with spells, and it will set the monster's health regeneration to a negative value, so it will prevent them from regenerating health for the duration of the dot, which is 8 seconds. And so it will make monsters a lot easier to kill. And let's take a look at what the effect looks like. and we will cover ignore target defense, prevent monster healing, and slain monsters rest in peace in the next part, because there isn't a whole lot to say for those mechanics. Ignore target defense does what it sounds like it does in most situations. You will just ignore the target's defense, and your chance to hit will be based solely on your level versus their level. However, it does not work in PvP, and it does not work against act bosses. Prevent monster heal also does what it sounds like it does. It sets the monster's health regeneration to 0 for 80 minutes. This effect can only be applied by a player. It will not work on mercenaries or iron golems, and it again does not work with spells. It will only work with a successful melee or ranged attack, and it will not work on bosses from the Pandemonium event. Slain monsters rest in peace prevents any monster that is killed by the player from being resurrected. There are a lot of enemies in Diablo 2 that can revive themselves or revive other monsters. This ability also prevents necromancers from resurrecting any dead minions as well. And in order to keep you from being bored hearing a very in-depth description of how Magic Find works, here are a couple of tables that show you what Magic Find percentage will give you for your increased chances to find magic, rare, set, and unique items, as well as the real chance to find unique items, and also a brief description of how treasure class works. And I will leave a link in the description to a very detailed and in-depth Magic Find guide for those who are interested. That's going to wrap up this video, and remember to give them the D.
もうちょっとキスをしたのにね。まだだよね。初めてな。